So go ahead and read number 10 out.
I don't understand why this one's wrong either.
Okay, this one is wrong though, I promise you. So go ahead and read 10 out loud.
Air traffic controllers and nuclear power plant operators are not allowed to work exceptionally long hours because to do so would jeopardize lives. Yet physicians in residency training are typically required to work 80-hour weeks. The aforementioned restrictions on working exceptionally long hours should also be applied to resident physicians since they are to engage in work of life or death nature.
Is this an argument or a set of facts?
Argument.
Okay, what is our conclusion?
The last sentence. The aforementioned restrictions on working exceptionally long hours should also be applied to residents.
Yes, and what is the big trigger word there that shows us that that is potentially our conclusion?
Aforementioned?
No! Since! Are you looking at our screen together?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Hold on.
I'm just making sure because I'm drawing.
Yeah.
Since, yes. Remember, and what's the other word that sometimes is used instead of since? There's two. One's an easy one, one's a hard one. The easy one is the word because.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the hard one? 1, 2,
I can't
3.
remember.
1, 2,
4.
4, yeah. Because we don't talk like that. Like, for it is hot outside, therefore we should have ice cream. Excellent. So, is this a 100% rock solid conclusion?
No.
No, why not?
I guess. I don't really know. It doesn't really provide any evidence.
Can you think of a reason why not? Like why, not just because of the evidence, can you think of like a reason why this shouldn't be the case? Like why shouldn't restrictions on working exceptionally long hours be applied to resident physicians?
They should be applied?
No, why shouldn't they be? Like tell me the reason why they shouldn't be.
They wouldn't learn as much.
Okay, so they're saying that air traffic controller, these other operators are not allowed to work long weeks, right? These other people are not allowed to work long weeks. But residencies work 80 hours a week, correct?
Yep.
And our argument is that the physicians should also be restricted, what our arguer is saying is that they shouldn't work these 80-hour weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you think of any reason of why they should work the 80-hour weeks?
Because it helps them learn more, like they need to.
Yeah, they need to learn more, or maybe like we don't have enough, like the amount of lives saved by the hours they work is significantly more than the ones that are lost because they're tired. I don't know.
Yeah.
Excellent. So for this to be true, so what kind of question was this?
Assumption.
It is an assumption. What kind of assumption question?
Necessary.
Yes, what are the 3 words, or sometimes 4 words, that show us that it's a...
Needs, depends, requires.
What was the first one, I'm sorry, that you said?
I said needs.
I mean, yeah, I don't think that's ever used, but that would work.
Yeah. I don't really know the other ones.
Requires, relies, like R-E-L-I, yes, and then applies.
Mm-hmm.
So can you think of anything that your own necessary assumption to this? So for this should also be, what would also be required if this is to be applied to resident physicians?
Mine was that like if you like working the 80-hour weeks or working like exceptionally long hours cause you to not do your job well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's what I thought when I saw this. Like I
Yeah,
thought that
I was
was,
thinking that there needs to be like you can tell. Mine was like you can tell the difference between working fewer hours and 80 hours.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. All right. So what did you pick?
C.
All right. The sorry, I have to move. The more hours one works in a week, the less satisfactory one performs one's work. So this is actually kind of a hard one. Why is that not the correct answer? So why did you think that one?
Like, that's the only one that makes sense, honestly.
Okay, so the reason that C is incorrect is because so once you get from 1 hour to 2 hours, do you do a worse job?
I mean,
Is that required
yes,
for our conclusion to be true though?
I guess so, yeah. That's so specific.
No, what I'm saying is for C, what I'm saying is like this isn't necessary for our conclusion to be true. It doesn't have to be that the more hours you work, the less satisfactory you of a job you do. It doesn't have to be like, okay, on hour 1 of the week, I'm at here, and as I progress, I go like this.
Yeah.
That doesn't have to be true. Typically, what you see is, like probably something like this, but then as the week goes on, you get worse. That's outside information that you can't apply, but when you picture in your head, doesn't that kind of make sense?
Yeah, but
Even as you go
I
on to like, what if you peak on Wednesday and then you go down? And on Wednesday you're at, 25 hours and that's when you're at your peak. Couldn't that happen? But once you hit like that 40 slash mark, you just go downhill.
I like completely understand what you're saying. I just think it's absolute bullcrap that they would put that answer, because I mean that answer should if you look at if I were to argue that, just not write it down on paper, that's the answer.
No, because you could like something more so would be
Like if I'm working
once you
80-hour
hit
weeks
40,
instead of 120
right,
hour
once
weeks,
you
that
hit,
makes
yeah,
sense.
or you would have to have actual parameters on it. There's no parameters. So it'd have to be like the more hours you work after 40 hours.
No, yeah, I know, but
Or
that's
50,
so
yeah,
that's so just specific and
right.
off-putting
But it just
that
doesn't have to be
obviously
true.
it just pisses me off that was even an answer on there, because of course I'm going to choose that one.
All right, you have to think deeper. Okay, so let's go ahead and try it. Let's look at E. Or do you want to try it on your own again first?
I could try it on my own again. I literally, it wouldn't be B.
Right.
It's got to be A,
Okay, why?
because it's saying there's no reason for them not to be working these exceptionally long hours.
Right, and that's isn't that kind of what we predicted? We said there has to be like even though they do worse, like there can't be any benefit. If this is the only thing we're going to judge it on, there can't be any benefit for it.
I don't like this question at all. I don't think it's even right. I'd honestly still go with like I feel to depend, for me to my assumption depends on the fact that residents shouldn't be working 80-hour weeks. Also doesn't depend on whether the training of the residents would not be indispensable. It would matter more